Bill Gager coming to you once again from the Colorado Trail. Thought I'd just share with you another one of the views, many beautiful views along this stretch. And in this video, I'd like to share with you a concept called the pendulum principle. Pendulum principle is based on a fundamental element of human nature. So if you think of an old-time clock with a pendulum that swings back and forth, if I push that pendulum to the right, the pendulum wants to swing to the left out of sheer momentum and inertia. Human nature is pretty much the same way. If I were to walk up to any one of you without any warning and try and pull you towards me, your initial reaction would be to resist my attempts to pull you. And same thing if I were to push you away, you would resist my attempt to push you away and you'd end up actually stepping towards me. Now this principle is important when we think about communicating with others to get them to listen to our ideas and then to take action on those ideas. It really means they're going to make a change, because if we approach them without the right technique, without the right focus, it's as if we're trying to push or pull them, and their instant knee-jerk reaction is going to be to resist. Now there are three things that determine how much resistance another person will put up to our attempts to communicate change, in other words, to push or pull. The first is how much they trust us. Obviously, the more somebody trusts us, the more willing they are to allow us to push or pull them. That's why, I always share this story. A couple of months ago, I went to the doctor to get some blood tests done, just to find out, how my cholesterol was, all that stuff, just to check up, because I haven't had it done in a while. So I went in. Of course, I had to meet with the doctor first. And when I entered the room, nurse came in, handed me one of those Johnnies and said, okay, take off your clothes down to your underwear and put this on. And what did I do? I immediately put it on. Now, what other circumstance would I let a stranger tell me to take my clothes off in a strange place? And the reason I did it was she was a nurse, and inherently we trust medical people. The second factor that determines how much resistance somebody puts up when we try and push or pull them is how they feel about the destination. So imagine there's $1 million in cash piled up, and about 10 feet away from that is a sink full of dirty dishes. And I drag you towards the cash to give it to you. How much resistance am I going to get dragging you towards the cash versus dragging you towards the dirty dishes to get you to wash them? If you're like most people, you're probably going to run over me to get to the cash, and you're going to resist going to the dirty dishes. So the second factor is how the person feels about the destination or the change we're trying to get them to make. And remember, unless a person is already engaged in the process of making the change we're communicating, the elephant will resist that change, because the elephant does not like to make any changes that it hasn't already felt the experience of what it means to make that change. And so there's inherent resistance unless we've done what I've talked about in previous videos, where we've made the emotional connection necessary to get that person in a willing state. So very often, it's our initial approach when we're communicating somebody that starts us off on the wrong foot. It starts us off with the elephant resisting, because we go in and we focus on such a way that the elephant feels like we're trying to push or pull it towards the change. And this leads us to the third factor that determines the amount of resistance somebody puts up to our attempt to push or pull them. And that's the amount of force we use and the direction of the force we use. So what I've found is, if I know pushing somebody away from me is going to make them step towards me, if I begin the process of introducing the idea of change to somebody, and I do it in a way that gently pushes them away from me, away from that change, rather than trying to pull them towards it, not only does it get them to step towards the change automatically, it begins to create that willingness that's necessary for them to listen to the change and then later act on the change. And I got to tell you, my experience of understanding the pendulum principle now for about 25 years, it is extremely powerful. And the understanding of that principle has resulted in more success for me in terms of my ability to actually get people to listen to and act upon my ideas, which in my case, because I'm in my own business and I'm selling, that means money in my pocket. It means success. And so the pendulum principle has made me more money than anything else I've ever learned. So I just wanted to share that with you. And, kind of the theme keeps popping up in my head on these hikes around communicating around change. So thanks for tuning in. And anything else pops into my head, I'll put it on video. Thanks. Take care.